Hello, everybody. This is Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology, and I'm doing another video blog on the astrology of January. And this time I'm using Zoom in order to give you an actual visual of the charts that I mentioned in the first video. Now, I'm going to be doing these short little videos to give you actual graphic demonstrations of the astrology for the month ahead, along with a live cast on Facebook until I'm able to integrate the two together, which I plan on doing probably in the next month or so once I'm back from India. I've heard that you can get an upgraded Zoom platform that'll allow you to live cast basically what you see right now, screen and some video. I would be able to live cast both at the same time if I had an upgraded Zoom platform. So I hopefully plan on doing that when I get back from India. Meanwhile, for people who are more visual, I wanted to just be able to give you some sense of what is going on. So as I mentioned now you should listen, by the way, to the actual, the forecast for the entire month is found in a separate video on my YouTube page, The Astrology of January 2018. You should listen to that for a more detailed, thorough explanation. In the meantime, I'm just making this video to literally give you visualized highlights of what I talked about in that video. So, and we're off here. Let's see. So you should be able to see on the screen right now, you're looking at the transits, and I'm just actually going to go back to January 1st. On January 1st, we had a full moon across the, let's see, let me get my drawing tool here. Yeah, here we go. You see it across the Cancer Capricorn axis. I'm a horrible artist, by the way. There you go. So we had a Cancer Capricorn full moon to start the year. Very powerful full moon, often highlighting the emphasis between home, family, vulnerable feelings, inner life, inner needs, and necessity, hard work, responsibility, duty, and perhaps more public types of things. The Cancer Capricorn tension sometimes will really focus on family in particular. Now, the other thing that's happening at the very beginning of the year that's a big deal is Uranus is stationing. So on the very first of the month, you can see here that Uranus is stationing, and then you go back on January 1st, it's stationing on January 2nd, then by the 3rd, no more stationing. You see the little S under Uranus on the 2nd, and then on the 3rd, it's disappeared. That means Uranus is now starting to move forward. From this point on, you can start to anticipate Uranus's momentum moving toward aspects to planets at the late degrees of cardinal signs, like the 28th or 29th degrees of the cardinal signs, Libra, Aries, Capricorn, and Cancer. Or you can think of Uranus is also going to break into Taurus in May, which is pretty exciting. Think about the house that Taurus rules in your chart. Think about the first 2 degrees of the fixed signs. Uranus will make squares opposition to first 2 degrees of Scorpio, Aquarius, and Leo. So that's a big deal, Uranus turning direct. Now, going forward into the month, on January 6th, that's the next big transit. I'm just going to highlight that one here. You'll see, whoops, get my drawing. Here you'll see Mars and Jupiter getting together on January 6th. This is a very powerful transit. Mars and Jupiter together are very athletic, confrontational. It's about power. It's about depth. It's about emotional catharsis. And it's great for confronting things, for passion, for the need to be real and to be bold and things like that. But you can think about it. I've joked around and said it's sort of like Zeus on steroids. It's a pretty powerful and sort of militaristic transit, but it can also be about faith and courage. So that's a good one. At the same time that this is happening, you'll also notice that Mercury at about 24 degrees of Sagittarius is going to be in a trine to Uranus at 24 degrees of Aries. This is also a pretty powerful transit. Mercury, the communicator, the thinker, ruler of technology, related to the mind and the intellect, hitting Uranus, the rebel, the emancipator, the innovator, the disruptor, the unpredictable one. So, a trine is pretty harmonious. So you think about unusual or erratic communication, new ways of using technology, or breakthroughs in some kind of technological innovation, or some kind of inventive streak, developing a new idea, communicating passionately with a lot of charisma. This is kind of happening at the same time that Mars and Jupiter are getting together. It's a pretty impassioned time generally. This is just a few days away from right now. All right, so going forward, we go to January 9th. And on January 9th, you're going to see this massive Venus, Sun, Pluto triple conjunction. Very powerful transit. I did a whole video separately on that transit, so I would look through my YouTube videos and find the Venus, Sun, Pluto conjunction video and watch that in depth for the full sort of report. This has a lot to do with relationships, transformation in relationships, political moves in relationships, could be professional, could be romantic, depth, power, transformation, getting real, seeing what's below the surface, what's been hidden, reviewing relationships, redefining structures of relationships or agreements, diplomacy, PR, stuff like that. But with that added flavor of the deep power of Pluto, which can be quite intense. So that's happening on the 9th. Then we go to the 10th. And on the 10th, Mercury is going to basically move right into Capricorn. So 10th into the 11th. And between the 10th and 13th, Mercury will move into Capricorn and then conjoin Saturn. That's what you're looking at here. And just highlight that for you guys right there. So that's a time, it's really good for making agreements. Mercury is a planet of contracts and written forms of communication, and Saturn solidifies and makes something strong and concrete. So if you have to agree to something, if you need to buy a new piece of technology or a new car, or there's a time to have a serious, sober, mature, respectful conversation with somebody, you want to be careful about being too rigid or overly sort of concrete or strict in your mind. It's a bad time for headaches, so don't stress yourself out with that one. There we go. And then we're going on to January 16th next. January 16th, we have a new moon in Capricorn with 6 total planets in Capricorn: Saturn, Mercury, Pluto, the Sun, Moon, and Venus. Especially highlighting this grouping of planets right here. This is a powerful, powerful new moon. A lot of planets conjoining, a lot of things going on, and it's all square to Uranus, which is about breakthrough, invention, discovery, rebellion, going against the status quo. So this is a very transformational new moon, and it heralds a very powerful month ahead starting in January. Why? Because, hey, we're entering eclipse season. Eclipse season is no joke. We'll get more on that in a little bit. On January 17th, Venus will enter Aquarius. And so January 17th and 18th, think about the Aquarian-ruled chart, the Aquarian-ruled house in your chart. And just think about, when Venus walks into a new house, she usually brings good things. Enjoyment, romance, relaxation, harmony, peace, beauty, joy, happiness. These are Venus's qualities. She can bring desire, temptation, and lust as well, so be careful of that. This is a pretty airy and sort of intellectual socialite kind of Venus. She can be very dogmatic about what she feels. She's in Saturn's sign. Now, we're going on from here. Oh, well, actually, I wanted to mention this. Notice that around this time, Pluto and Jupiter are roughly in a sextile with one another. There's a very deep, powerful combination of planets. Jupiter is about growth, expansion, faith, bigness. Pluto is about depth, intensity, transformation, darkness, what's sick or dying, death, the underworld. So the two of them together suggest that this is a time where we can be doing a lot of growing, but there may be some deeper revelations and the deeper work of the dark shadow stuff around this time. That's a part of overall very expansive period. And that's something you could say pretty much for the whole year with Jupiter in Scorpio, which is a deep feminine water sign. So, all right. So let's go ahead and we will go to January 25th is the next transit I'm going to cover. That's Mercury Pluto. So it goes, I think it's just, January 24th, actually. January 24th, you have Mercury and Pluto in a conjunction with one another. That is, again, communication is highlighted, the mind, technology, agreements written or otherwise, speech, all of that, learning, education. And with Pluto, again, it's about the revelation, the aha moment, usually through synchronicities, dreams, omens, Freudian slips, inappropriate things that you say that you have to apologize for. This is a transit that you learn a lot about yourself and how you communicate with others, and you have those difficult conversations, or you have to have that difficult talk, or someone is trying to overpower you verbally or mentally, and you have to kind of stick up for yourself. This is one of those heavier transits. Now, let's go ahead and go forward from here to the 26th. On the 26th, right about there, going into the 27th, Mars enters Sagittarius. So Mars entering Sagittarius will enter a new house in your chart. Just look at what house Sagittarius rules. Again, I couldn't recommend whole sign houses more fully for people in terms of tracking astrology. It's so accurate. It's so easy and useful. And it is arguably the oldest form of house division. So check it out. Anyway, not to start House War II, but anyway, then on the 27th, Mars entering Sag is quite fiery, quite fierce and charismatic about things, quite passionate intellectually, and potentially a little reckless too. So watch for the heat and fire of Mars entering Sag around the 26th. The 27th, you're looking at Mercury and Uranus being in square with one another. So there's Mercury starting off the month in a trine, ends in the month with a square. Another powerful moment for communication, technology, speech. Again, there's going to be a sort of, these last transits at the end of the month, there's confrontational energy in the air, especially mentally, intellectually, and sort of verbally. There's a lot of growing that we can do in how we communicate as well. Now, next, January 29th, Venus and the South Node are getting together in Aquarius. Right around that time, Venus eclipses the South Node. That's a big moment, potentially, of letting go, releasing, surrendering, Venetian things, relationships, beauty, changing your values, agreements, negotiations, any place where diplomacy is taking place that gets together with the South Node. There's often a period of deterioration, loss, decline, disintegration. It's a little difficult for Venus around that time. The South Node is traditionally related with loss, but it's also related to spiritual gain. When we lose things in the material world, there's often a door that opens up to deepen our spiritual lives. So this is definitely not the worst transit in the world for getting closer to spirit. Finally, the month does not end. It does not go, goes out like a lion. We've got a lunar eclipse in Leo on January 31st, and that's closely conjoined with the nodes. Think of lunar eclipses like doors closing, end of a karmic era, the beginning, the culmination of something, as well as the beginning of the end of something. And look to the houses of Leo and Aquarius in your birth chart, or just think very generally about the full moon lunar eclipse as the sealing of a fate, and the maybe the final burning off of a karma or the end of an era, an expiration date. Very powerful themes this month, one of the busiest months of the astrological year. I hope this was interesting for everybody. I tried to keep it super quick so you have a short version and a long version. I'm going to try to do this every month because I know some people like the longer version and some people like the shorter. So hopefully this sort of answers both calls. So thank you for watching my YouTube channel. You can check me out at nightlightastrology.com for my daily written reports. If you want to book a reading, check out my classes, stuff like that. And I hope to see you next time. Bye.